Welcome back to Your Content Factory. My name is Blake. Thanks for tuning in. This is the podcast where we discuss all things content creation, methodology, mindsets, everything that you need to make your content factory plug, just refine it into a machine that just creates everything you need to, right? And pulls in more revenue for you. So we like to specify, we're not making content just for the hell of it. We like to do it with intention. And we like to get that return or that energy coming back to your brand, your business, or whatever it is. So again, thanks for tuning in. I have a dope guest today. Across from me, I have Jeremy Davis.
What's up?
Yeah, just a stud. We've been working together since like October, a couple months. And I just want to pick Jeremy's brain today because he has mastered some avenues in the content creation space to really bring in some massive revenue for his particular business. So we're going to dive into it. But Jeremy, how you doing, man?
Good. Just living the dream. Yeah, we just did a 3-day trip across the United States. And so
yeah, that's right.
I'm exhausted, but I could chat about this stuff for hours. So.
Yeah, we already do.
Yep.
We've just never been mic'd up.
That's right.
We're always chatting after the recording, and we're like, 45 minutes. We're like, oh crap, I gotta go.
We're like, that was good content.
Yeah, we're like, why are we not recording
on a podcast?
Exactly. So let me let me give you a good little intro here. So some of Jeremy's credentials for those of you listening, right? It's always important to know who you're listening to because you shouldn't take advice from just everybody. There's some that's universal, but this is very specific advice. But Jeremy, he comes from a very religious background, grew up still LDS practicing, but you were a religious professor of sorts for 3 years, very involved with the Missionary Training Center in Provo, from what I understand, right? Mm-hmm. And you did that for a couple years and then moved into a door-to-door, face-to-face sales career. And that's where my experience is. So we're cut from a very similar cloth. I grew up Mormon. Door to door, doing mission. You did a mission as well.
Yep. Yeah, I served out in Argentina.
Yeah, so that's door to door is out there. It's a little different. You guys clap, right?
We do.
Yeah, that's how you knock on someone's door.
Yep.
But yeah, you're selling religion, basically, bringing people to an idealism.
Talking about Jesus.
Yeah, talking about Jesus. And I did the same in Germany, and so it just kind of a lot of Mormons do door to door, so it works out. But then you did door to door with Vivint for 10 years total.
Yep.
And then there was a little stint in there where you did some cold calling.
Yep.
Was that just because of the wife?
Yeah, she got pregnant. She just didn't want to travel.
Nice.
And I get that. And so I said, sure, let me go get something similar. And someone was like, oh, you should do cold calling. Like, go do B2B or learn that. And I was like, I've never cold called in my life.
Yeah.
And so I found a company, went and I was mentored by their top guys. I'd shadow them. Mm-hmm. I read like a ton of books on cold calling. And then within 30 days, I was their top guy, got promoted.
Nice.
But I still was like, I hate this. I want to get out of this. So once my daughter was born, we left and went right back to door to door.
That's cool. So while you were doing door to door, you said your wife didn't like to travel. So she was actually traveling with you. Mm-hmm. And that was a kind of, I think with Vivint, it's a summer thing, right?
Yep.
Summer blitz.
4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 months. Yeah. That's awesome. And very lucrative industry. For those of you looking to get some energy and change your life, change your revenue and your income earning, go get into door-to-door. Like pest control, windows, roofers are now in door-to-door. Plumbers are starting to do it, like Vivint.
Landscaping.
Anything.
Turf.
You can sell anything homeowner-related door-to-door, right? I wish I could sell podcasting door-to-door.
That'd be cool.
Those two, they don't really... I'm like, hey, do you want a podcast? Of course, everybody does, but not everybody should.
Yeah.
But that's awesome, man. So 10 years door to door, and now how long have you been doing real estate? You shifted from door to door into real estate.
Yep. My wife, again, she just didn't want to travel anymore.
She's like, I'm done traveling.
We had 3 kids, and most people, like you said, don't bring their wives or kids out. But a lot of them are also divorced, unhappy, in some trouble with the law. And so that's why my wife always came out with the kids so we can avoid that. And she was just done. So we said, okay, we were in Atlanta at the time, and we just picked a place in St. George, found a realtor, bought it off market, just kind of saw it online. And I was like, what can I do that would make the same amount of money?
Yeah.
And it was real estate.
Yeah.
So got my real estate license, we had bought that home, but I had no investments. I didn't know any of the real estate lingo. I didn't know anything about it. And it's been about 6 years now. 5, 6 years.
That's amazing, dude. So yeah, that's it. That traveling sales though, it does wear and tear on you. I was doing that. I was a week on, a week off.
Yeah.
And I was just traveling up and down the Rockies, Arizona, Idaho,
that's
Utah.
Cool.
So, but I was on the road for a week. So that's, you do that for a couple of years. That's half the year right? That felt like I was in the military again.
Yep.
It felt like I was,
Yep.
very similar in that regard. So it does wear and tear on you. And then so Mal was kicking off Blue Form, same thing. And I'm like, yeah, to save this marriage, like we got to be here.
Yep.
If you're not there half the time, like, do you even have a marriage, right?
At what point is it worth it at that point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are priorities. And that's what I like about Jeremy is like, he's got his priorities straight on. He still knows when to hustle and when to grind and when to like let off the gas. Because a lot of guys in door to door, they don't know when to let off the gas.
They don't.
Yeah. I think it's like this cycle of like the dragon eating its tail.
Yep.
Where it's like, they're so addicted to doing something useful that they, excuse me, I don't know what's up to me today, but they can't like stop because their identity
is attached to the outcome. And you make so much money, right?
You do.
Made 6 figures my first summer, not knowing how to sell door to door, then almost doubled that, then tripled it, then quadrupled it every year after that. That's addicting. It's exhilarating. Mm-hmm. But you just attach yourself to the outcome. My worth is attached to how many deals I sell. And so you can get really lost really quick.
Yeah, lots of ego too.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And it's good. It's competitive, right? How did you get into door to door? You said.
Yeah. My buddy that I grew up with, he did a summer and he's like, dude, I could beat you. And I was like, what? What is this door to door thing? And he's like, I could beat you. And I was like, what is it? He's like, you just sell products door to door. I could outsell you. And that like got under my skin, and I was like,
the ego.
I could take you. And so I left my religious career, and I just got into door to door just off of competition.
You're like, I'm gonna. I
didn't even know how much I was getting paid per deal.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's something to be said too. A lot of people bag on ego. Like I share this analogy about ego. Like one guy walks into a room and he has a gorilla on a leash, and you watch him, and it turns out he's on the leash, right? Like the gorilla's in charge.
Yeah.
That's his ego. It's like.
That's cool.
Kind of dictating his life. And then then another person walks in, kind of like a Targaryen from Game of Thrones, and like flies in on a dragon, steps off the dragon, pats the dragon, and then goes and sits down at the table, and the dragon just sits there.
Love that.
Like that's the kind of ego that's powerful. Like it's needed, it's necessary, but it can be a real big detriment if you're not in control of it. So yeah, that's cool. It's refreshing to see too that a lot of door-to-door guys are waking up to this. And a lot of the masters, the people that did it for a decade, like you, they understand that balance. That's how you did it for a decade. Because like, what's the turnover rate? Like people do it like maybe one summer.
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 summers. It's very rare that someone does it more than 5.
Yeah.
5 is like, if you can do it longer than 5, either 1, you're not improving and you're just addicted.
Yeah.
You've got golden handcuffs. Or you've figured it out. You're running a team, you're growing, and you're making a ton of money.
Yeah, you found a sustainability. Like you're moving with the ebbs and flows of life and your own dopamine cycles, your relationships. So it's kind of this is what I was telling Mal the other day, because Jeremy's done so much door to door for so long, you can tell like the 10,000 hours concept, that's a thing. Right?
Yes.
And then also the other areas of your life are in balance. And so what I want to talk to you about this is why Jeremy's awesome, is because he moved 10 years of experience and then you switched into real estate. And what's your method of doing real estate now?
Door to door.
Door to door.
Yeah. Well, when I first got my license, I went and was mentored by some of the top dogs in the industry nationwide. And I shadowed a bunch of local realtors that were crushing it. And I was like, wow, the top of the top have coaches. They're disciplined and they just prospect like crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, I could do that. So I went and hired 3 coaches, super disciplined, didn't reinvent the wheel, just copy and pasted what they did. And I tried cold calling and I hated it. I would set like 15 appointments in like 2 or 3 days, and then they would cancel or they wouldn't show up. And I was like, why don't I just go to their door and have the appointment at their house? And my first week doing that, I got into 25 homes.
Yeah.
People wanting to know how much their house is worth, and they were actually potentially moving. And I was like, oh, I'm doing this from now on.
Yeah. Because I've heard like whispers on the wind, dude. Like I'd be sitting there like in my backyard. It's like a whisper. I'm like, what? Like someone's doing door to door real estate. I'm like, what? I've heard that for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then to meet you, and I'm like, oh, like no shit. This is like Jeremy's bread and butter.
Yep.
Like 10 years of door to door experience meshing perfectly with real estate. And you know all the tactics. Like I've been there while you're recording your courses that you sell. Mm-hmm. All of the tactics are the same things I would teach my guys in door to door.
Same thing.
How to, knock the signs of life of a neighborhood, right? And be very intentional about the neighborhoods you pick. So there's some times where it's like, hey, just start knocking, like get in there. But you're very intentional with that. And so that's what we want to dive in today is how that door-to-door space has kind of pushed you into real estate, and then now you're like bringing all of the stones of the infinity gauntlet
the
in line.
glove.
Yeah,
I need that.
yeah. You're like, you got door-to-door skills and like real estate, and then you got your Instagram following, and now you're like doing YouTube and courses, and pretty soon
Yep.
you're gonna be Thanos.
Yep.
You're just gonna be like,
Yep.
boom, billionaire, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever. So that's kind of how I see it. So yeah, hopefully that was a good enough intro for you, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so just to let you guys know, Blueform Media, we're here locally in St. George, and we do a lot of content with a lot of people. And about a month before we met Jeremy, I was like, I'm done with real estate agents, man. Like they just want more for less. They're not doing it. Like,
Cheap.
yeah, we have a couple real estate agents that we love, but we've turned down, Mal, you can kind of confirm this, but it's probably 4 or 5 people we've turned down.
Yeah.
Like we kind of don't nicely, we're like, hey, this guy would be better for you. We shove them off. And so I was kind of hesitant, but then I was like, oh, wait, door to door? And I'm like, okay, Jeremy Davis, he's not doing content for real estate. He's doing content for coaching how to do door to door in real estate, right? And so that's where you're at now. It's Real D2D.
Yep.
That's your company, right? With Dwayne. Shout out to Dwayne. What's up, Dwayne? Big D. And you guys just had a killer trip. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I was in real estate for a couple of years, crushed it, did really well. And my dad passed. And it threw me into a cycle where I was like my identity of a producer was gone. It was the first time in my life where I like didn't care to produce. It was really weird for me. At the time, Dwayne was interviewed on a podcast similar to this about door to door, and everybody called him. His phone blew up. And so he's like, well, maybe I start coaching. And then he reached out to me, and the rest is history. We'll talk about that today. But yeah, we just did a 3-day trip across the United States. We went to LA, and then we did a red eye to Atlanta, and then we went to Orlando, back to Vegas, and then back to St. George. And we just did massive seminars. I mean, in LA, we had standing only. The room was completely full of realtors.
Wow.
And we trained them for 4 hours. And at the end, they were like, wow, I've been in real estate for like 10 years. And I've never had that much training or that type of training. Mm-hmm. And you guys probably just winged it for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And that was the common theme in every single place we went and did a seminar. And it was super fun. We're all gassed this year. I mean, you know us really well. Like once we're like, okay, we're going that route, we're going that route.
Absolutely, dude. And you can tell too when you are the trainee, you can tell when somebody is like really walking the walk that they're preaching. Like you can tell them that like, oh, he's just spitting from his head. Like he's done this so many times. He's made the curriculum so many times, and he's actually practicing what he preaches, that it's like, it's so authentic, man. Like that's why I think, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for me after seeing your stuff. So if you haven't checked out Jeremy's pages, let's plug those right now real quick so they can get a sense, you know, so they can pull this up. But what's your YouTube? Is just Jeremy Davis?
Yeah, Jeremy Davis, door to door real estate. And then Instagram is door to door real estate. And then my local market one is St. George realtor.jeremy.
Mm-hmm. And then if you want coaching too in real estate, you can find them at reald2d.com.
Yep.
Yeah. And we'll plug those at the end again as well. They'll be in the descriptions of the show notes. So, but just so you can pull those up, if you want to pause right now and go see what we're talking about, like there's an authenticity about Jeremy and Dwayne's stuff. So that makes sense. So Cross Nation, what was the success like? So LA was received well, standing only.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah. Same. And then Orlando is funny. It was a smaller group, but we converted like 85% of everybody there.
Dang.
They all wanted to get into the role play groups. They wanted to get into the brokerage side, be on our team, get into coaching. And it was really funny because you had mentioned the presentation. I had made a 4-hour presentation with slides and all sorts of stuff to keep engagement throughout the entire thing. It took me maybe 2 hours to put together. And it's been really cool because content creation and public speaking and running seminars is such a heavy part of my background that Dwayne was like, my business partner, hey, just go create new slides for us. And we're not going to practice it. We're not going to script it. We're not going to teleprompt it. Just put a flow together. And so in like 2-3 hours, I put a 4-hour flow together. And every spot we hit, it was right on the money. 4 hours awesome. Is really cool.
Yeah. And that's cool. I mean, we had you guys down and you guys did kind of another blitz. Like when you guys have creative energy, and this is important for other content creators too. So if you're listening, when the creativity is hitting you, when it's time to create, like you almost have to drop everything at once. Like it has to be prioritized, right? How much are you consuming on a daily basis versus how much are you creating on a daily basis? So I'll ask you that. What's your ratio on a day-to-day basis? How much are you consuming and how much are you creating?
I think that's a great point. I mean, sometimes I'll come in and record with you guys and it's like, dude, I'm coming off an all-nighter because I was filling it last night and I built a 100-page packet and I built this other packet.
3 times, by the way. Yeah. I'm like, what's up? And he's got bags under his eyes. Yeah. Like, I was up all night in Canva.
and we're going to go do 4 hours of YouTube training.
Exactly.
And when you're filling it, you're filling it. You just got to roll with it. There's sometimes at night I'll put on an Alex Hormozi YouTube video and it's just so good and I just keep taking notes and then I get an idea to create this. I go create that while it's playing and I just run with it. And then there's some days I've got none.
Yeah.
And so I don't do anything.
You're gassed.
I'm gassed.
Empty tank.
I even talked to my wife the other day. I was like, man, it's been a while since I pulled an all-nighter. Like, what let could I create? And, but on a normal day, it's usually like maybe 2-3 hours in the morning, periodically throughout the day. I try to let my schedule be flexible enough. When an idea comes, I can go and create it. I feel like people are key. Sometimes if your schedule is too strict, you don't have that flexibility in there, then you'll have this idea. You either won't write it down and then it just never happens. Like you and I always have like these like notebooks of all, like, look at this, all these different ideas. I put look at this, sticky notes all over my stuff. And it's like just ideas flow.
Yes.
But then I do it. I don't let any time delay, but that's because my schedule allows it. It's flexible too.
And if you have to come back to it,
it's right there.
It's right there in full. This is a brand new notebook for me.
Let's go.
Yeah. So this is January.
I'm almost done too. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I think that was when I say we're cut from the same cloth, man. I mean that. Like you come in with notebooks, and I'm like, we see these similarities, and we're like,
Remember the first
Spider-Man meme? We're like, hey,
that first time that I came in, and I pulled out my notebook, and I was like, oh yeah, the other day I was doing this, and I pulled it out, and I remember you saw it, and you're like, we're gonna be best friends.
Yeah, it's like
because you pulled yours out.
I pulled mine. I was like, what?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's very important for my creative process too, or just getting out thoughts, like philosophical ideas. Like, it's not with me right now. I have another notebook that I just write weird thoughts down, and then I'll go back to that, and it's turned into so many ideas for content or podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure yours is the same process, right? You'll get that idea, write it down, and then when you do have time to dedicate to that, you can dive in at full force.
Yeah, Alex Hormozi talks about it. He calls it brain dumping, I think is what he calls it. And he uses Twitter. He'll just brain dump an idea on Twitter. And if it gets good engagement, then he'll do it.
Yeah.
I actually leveraged Siri as like a personal assistant. And I'll just say, hey, Siri, add this thought to my daily thought. I can't remember what I call it. But then I'll go back to it. I've got it in my schedule to go back and check, okay, which ideas am I more passionate about? Like you said, sometimes ideas will come and then they never come to fruition because you just didn't feel it. And that's like fine, but it's the habit of writing stuff down.
Yeah. I've had stuff where I'll write it down. I'm like 80% there. And then I won't touch it for a year. Right. And then I'll be like, that next 20% hits me. But yeah, Mal is my brain dump. I'm like, hey, Mal, what about this idea? And she's busy. So I should probably just use some Siri, AI. That's what I'm excited for about AI is like, give me an assistant in my watch. I can just be like, hey, here's an idea. Write me a paragraph on that. Like,
go do the research for me and come back and give me a synopsis.
Yeah, spit this in my ear while I work out, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've noticed too, Jeremy has some excellent habits. We'll save the habits for another podcast or just direct people to your YouTube. If you want free training on habits, this guy has consumed so many books, so much knowledge. So there is a fair amount of consumption.
Yeah.
Consuming that you do as well. You're consuming not like funny videos. I'm sure you look at them, like, you see a funny video from time to time, but you're very deliberate with what you consume, correct?
Yeah. Last year, Jeff Mendez and Casey Bosch, shout out to them. They were mentors of mine when I first got into door-to-door sales. And I remember they came in to talk to our office and it was just quote this, book that, the whole time. And I'm like, wow, holy crap, these guys are so smart. And I wasn't reading anything at the time. So I was like, I'm going to start reading. And I would get Audible books and hard copy books. I just started reading. Last year was my biggest year. I read 141 books. So yes, I do consume a ton. But yeah, most of my day, the gym, when I wake up, I've got 3 times throughout the day where I sit and read for an hour each. Like there is a ton of consuming, but that just allows me to go faster because now I have this idea, the solution to my problem from 7 different perspectives, and then I can just go a little bit quicker. So it's kind of like Warren Buffett. He spends 80% of his day reading.
Yeah.
That allows him to go quicker because he's getting more of the answers.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's putting you in a state of mind that's in line with your goal, right? Like if I am listening to science fiction books, but I'm trying to get better at sales, I'm probably not going to get very far, very fast.
Probably not.
But if, in my case here, I have another notebook full of ideas, I'm actually creating a science fiction like tabletop game.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
And so when I listen to a science fiction book, I'm like, it's putting me in that state of mind. And then I'll that notebook fills up. I'll listen to a chapter and I'll be like, oh my gosh. So I almost don't I don't consume without like something to write with sometimes. But then of course there's the death scrolling that we all do and like, oh, you know.
Yeah, we all get there.
Yeah, it's meant to zombify us a little bit. But I do want to dive into some questions here. So that's kind of Jeremy's credentials, his background, what he's doing currently with Real D2D. Those guys are great. But as far as like success goes, this question stands for content creation success, and then also in your field in real estate as well. What is the most common thing holding someone back from success in real estate? Because you're coaching, so I figured this would be a great question for Jeremy.
Yeah, I would say I've got a good buddy, Doug Cartwright, that has been in the industry for a long time. I went to a seminar of his recently, and he's given a workshop. And I had been teaching these things, but I had never conceptualized it so simple before. And he said that a lot of real estate agents don't have a sales problem. They have a personal development problem blocking their sales performance. And that's such a powerful statement. A lot of realtors, they're either stressed, they don't have any type of routine, they don't have any type of like morning, nightly routine to like calm down their anxiety, to structure their days, to forecast what's coming. And so that's their issue, or they have turmoil with their wife or kids. And so when we fix that, then we can go over to skill set. And then most realtors aren't training their skill. And so they're not role playing twice a day. They're not reading literature to improve their skill set. They don't have coaches. And it's like, man, Alex Hormozi puts this so well. You pay with 2 things. You either pay with time because you didn't get the coaches. A lot of realtors don't have coaches. They aren't reading. They're not script practicing, like I said. And so they're paying with time. It's going to take them forever to figure this out. Or you pay with money. Go pay for the books, go pay for the coaches, get in the role play groups, all that stuff. And then all you're going to do is you're going to learn it quicker. So it's a good balance of both that I'm seeing with real estate agents. It's either this one, or both. And so when we structured the coaching program, it was like, okay, we got to fix this. And then we also have to fix this. If we can get a good balance of both, then they'll go take off. And that's how we've been able to coach the Rookie of the Year the past 7 years, is because once we can fix these 2 things with a real estate agent, they take off. They go from just got their license to 60 deals in a year, part-time to now full-time, or full-time, but they haven't figured it out and now they take off.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's usually the block in sales is a personal thing. And it's like a very much self-help, self-improvement culture in a good sales team in a good environment. So that's super huge. And I've seen it. I've sat in on some of your guys' coaching calls that we were recording for content. And I'm seeing the same patterns like in a door-to-door guy with like real estate. It's all the same. You know, sales is sales. Right. There's a universal kind of equation that you can plug in to almost any industry. There's some nuance, of course, you know, and tactics and techniques, but yeah, that's some wise words, dude. A lot of people they're just kind of, would it be fair to say they're in their own way? Yeah, they're in their own way. And we just gave the 4-hour seminar that we had mentioned. And we spent half of it talking about the personal development issue that people have. We talked about the inner demons, the inner dialogue, the little guy in the shoulder that's constantly saying, you suck. The real estate industry sucks. Like, you're not going to sell anything, or you're going to go broke. Go be comfortable. Yeah. There's a gas station over there. You can go take a break at. Stop prospecting. So we talked about that a ton. We also talked about how a lot of real estate agents and salespeople don't get enough sleep. They don't get exercise. They're not getting sunlight. Vitamin D just increases happiness levels. So like the basic things,
But then how do you keep that peak state over time? And that comes through systems, right? James Cleary and I always talk about this. Like, I literally have his quote on the back of my dog tag. Like, you don't fall or rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the standard of your systems. Have you not seen that before?
No, on the dog tag.
Yeah.
Because you and I, we toss that quote back and forth probably once,
all the time.
Every time you're over.
Yep.
Yeah, that's by far one of the most impactful books for myself and my sales team. There's a chapter in there about dopamine too.
Mm-hmm.
And what you attach your dopamine cycle to. And I pulled out, just from one paragraph of that book, I pulled out probably half of a journal of my own thoughts on that.
Oh, yeah.
And it changed my sales team and brought everybody up. Like, it gave us a system around the dopamine consumption. What are we doing? What are we using for dopamine? Because like I could go hunt an animal, cook it, skin it, kill it, cook it, all that stuff, prepare the meal, and I could get dopamine. Or I could go to the drive-thru and just get the same amount.
Yeah.
And then be depressed.
Yep.
Because it like wasn't earned.
Right.
So anyway, that's huge. But yeah, people getting in their own way. That's a great answer.
Well, and the thing is too, like, I was talking to all the real estate agents we were coaching at these seminars, and I was like, raise your hand if you want to make a ton of money. And everyone's like, yeah, I want to make a ton of money. And everyone raised their hand. And then I said, well, how many realtors didn't do a single deal last year? And it's 74%. So we did the math, and I had 74% of the people put their hand down. And I was like, what's different from those realtors right here compared to everybody else? And I brought up the quote again, and I was like, it's the systems. It's what realtor has the better systems. Those are the ones that are going to win.
Yeah.
But why, as a real estate industry, are they not talking about that? It's who's got the better morning routine? Who's got the better nightly routine? Right. Who's got the better study habits? Who's actually role playing and script practicing? Who's got the systems to go prospect? Those are the ones that win every time.
Dude, I love the parallels of all this stuff, because that's exactly what it is. Like, do you know why America has been the superpower for decades?
No idea. We could go down a lot of rabbit holes on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's debatable too, I guess. But the reason why the United States military is so successful is because of a system called logistics. It's just like you could put the best soldier up against the other best soldier in the world, like two nations, like David and Goliath going out there to meet. But you could put the best armies against each other, and no matter how good they are, they still need bullets, beans, and bandages.
Yep.
And if there's not a system in place to get those supplies to the soldier, they're basically useless. So it's the same thing. And I love that, dude. That's this is why Jeremy and I could talk forever, because these parallels, these things, these universal truths, they apply to almost every aspect of your life. And so if you master it in one area, it will seep and bleed over into other areas of your life in a positive way. Just like a negative habit will do the same, almost faster and more destructive as well. Yeah, so that's a lot of guys, they're just out of balance with those things.
Well, it's the same thing with content creation and anything you're trying to do. It's not how do I do it, it's what systems will allow me to grow this over time and detach yourself from the outcome and be okay with the process, like fall in love with the process. And so when I built all this content, when I first started, it was the same thing. It was like, what processes do I need? Who do I need to delegate to? Who do I need for help? And let me build those structures. And then over time, this will compound really fast, which it has. And so it's the same thing with real estate agents. It's a lot of times when they come into the coaching program, it's okay, like show me your schedule. Let's talk about the systems. We need to go build your business plan, vision board, do all that. Watch these onboarding courses, which we filmed here. And then let's have our first appointment.
Yeah. Okay. So it's very much foundation laying. Okay. That's awesome. And so I guess the same question applies, because I said, what was the most common thing holding someone back in real estate? And then it's kind of on the same thing. I guess your answer for something holding someone back in content creation would be systems as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And complexity is the biggest killer to creativity. You and I have talked about that before. Like,
I'm telling you, you would be a great Marine. Like these principles are, Keep going.
Yeah. And it's true. Like the subconsciously, I've got a huge background in psychology, and so I love talking about this stuff, but subconsciously the brain is just going to put you in fight or flight. It's going to protect you when it's complex.
Yeah.
Because a confused mind will always say no, because what it's doing is it's trying to protect you. It doesn't want you to get hurt. And so it'll kick into like distraction, procrastination, all that stuff, escape. And so if anyone has those, to me as their coach, I'm like, okay, well, you're processes aren't clear enough. They're not detailed enough. And so we need to fix those. And then you can kind of take off. But yeah, the simpler you can make it, it allows you to be more consistent because of how simple it is. Right. Usually those in the content creation world, when I talk to them, it's their systems are so dang simple, and that's how they can do volume over time.
Yes. Yeah. And we preach the same thing here. It's, we have some clients, they're like, I want to make this video. And then we get to storyboarding this video. And I'm like, dude, this is going to take me
forever.
Multiple days of shooting multiple locations with multiple angles and multiple cameras and a drone and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is going to be an excellent video, but this is like a once every 6 months kind of video, right? With the time and the resources it's going to take. So I'm like, that's not like consistent. So how can we like simplify that down so where we could do a massive project, but then release it 1 week at a time, little chunks, let's highlight this neighborhood, or let's highlight this aspect of my business, And so, yeah, simplifying is huge. What did you say? A confused mind
will always say no.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what a good buddy of mine, the door-to-door space, that's what he used to always preach is a confused mind will always say no. If you can really simplify this process, then again, you can be consistent, and consistency is king. Yes. We live in a world where all you have to do is literally just show up and be focused and not distracted. Yeah. And there was a quote in the presentation that I gave at these seminars from, sure enough, Alex Hormozi. Yeah. And he talked about how a distracted genius will always lose I'm going to pull up the exact quote, but he talked
focused imbecile or something like that.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I'll pull it up. But he basically talks about how today's society is all about who can focus, but we also live in an environment where it's so hard to be focused because of how many distractions we have. And that's the issue that people run into is they just can't be focused.
To be honest, it's my daily battle, man. Like I have so many things that could pull my creative, ability. And I'm like, which one gets the attention,
Right.
That's the battle.
Right.
Anyway, looks like you got it.
I'm going to go find this.
Oh, you're going to find it. Cool. Well, I'll plug Blueform here as well. If you guys are looking for solutions for these type of systems around your content, you can always hit Jeremy up too. He teaches people this as well. And then Blueform, the actual phrase of this podcast is your content factory. We are the foundation for your content creation. So if you want to start out with an excellent foundation, you can come find us.
Well, and just a plug, I found the quote, but a plug for you guys as well. The reason it was so easy for me to be like, yes, let's work together, because for me, it was so hard that the systems to record, to do the audio, to upload it, and all the different lighting things, it just slowed me down. Yeah. And so I needed to be more consistent and put gas on it. So by working with you guys, it's like the process is so simple for me on the creation side. So I can just come in, film, leave, and go do everything else. And then you guys are firing on the back end. It makes it so easy. So I found the quote.
Yeah.
So it says, my father used to tell me a focused fool can accomplish more than a distracted genius. So your most valuable asset isn't your time, it's your attention. A man with time and distractions will always lose to a man with a deadline and a singular focus. It's never been easier to be successful than it is today. It's also just never been easier to be distracted.
Yeah.
And I love that. Oh, it's so good.
That's like because people say that it's never been easier to succeed today, but that's like the other half of the coin of that quote. Yeah, that's powerful, man.
Yeah.
And it's so true, right? I feel like my focus and creativity comes in bursts of energy, and then I'm like, oh, and then it comes again. And so if you watched me on a daily basis, I tell this to Mal, I'm like, Mal, you get to watch me on a daily basis. And so my systems in place that I have that protect my creative energy, like, I'm like, I'll bust ass for a couple days, and then I'll be like, okay,
need a break,
reset some things. And Mal is more of like an everyday, generator kind of thing. She's just a machine, by the way. So when I say your content factory, I mean Mal. She is the factory. She can just turn it out, get it done. If there is a task, if there is something to accomplish, she's gonna get it done.
Yeah,
in a very efficient manner and timely. And so it's like, if you looked at me on day to day, you probably think I'm super lazy. But if you zoom out and look at my life or a resume, I'm like, I've done some things. So I'm like, yeah, okay, it's kind of cool. I just have to find a rhythm. So another piece of advice for people would be like, is understand your rhythm. Go take those personality archetypes, right? understand where you fit in with society. Those things are real, right? If you're religious, like, I mean, God put the stars in the sky for a reason, right? The times of year, like these things matter. It's all over the Bible and stuff. So it's pretty cool to see like there's power in that too. So don't fight your natural way of being, build systems around it to maximize all of your success, right? Do you know Ryan Seacrest?
Yeah.
Here, not Seacrest.
Yeah, the guy that's here.
Yeah. We share the same archetype, very like creative, like manifesting kind of thing. Not to get too hippie here, but he does the same thing. He's like, I have to check out. He's like, if I'm super focused up until like 2 p.m., he's like, I have to check out after that and go live my life. Otherwise, he's like, I'll just go into like depression. And he's like uber successful, right? So it's kind of cool to see that, but do whatever works for you. Have you taken any archetype stuff? Do you know what you want?
Yeah, I mean, I've taken so many different ones. I go back and forth from like a red driver that is like an executor.
Yeah.
I'm also a blue emotional, in the feelings type guy. I mean, it just kind of depends on what tasks I have in front of me, what people are in front of me, what do I have to get done. It's kind of like a chameleon.
Yeah. Dude, there's one that changed my life. Like I was in tears when I took it. It's called A Human Design. And we'll send you a link.
Yeah,
we'll check in. That'll be great. But anyway, that's a good one. I would recommend A Human Design. Any off the top of your head that you would recommend? Like a personality test?
Not that I can think of, but I would definitely say like go take a couple.
Yeah.
Because again, like the better you understand yourself, then you can build your systems around that for sure.
Agreed. We kind of already touched on this. How did Blueform help you out? Just giving you a foundation, right, for you. When we can take the tedium off someone's hands and then you can just focus on your creative, that's probably, for someone like you, that's the most beneficial thing.
Yeah, it's speed.
Yeah.
Is what has helped us grow this the past year. I mean, last year I went from 800 followers on the business door-to-door real estate Instagram page to now almost 6,300. And I'm getting 1.9 million views every 30-day cycle, tons of engagement on that. We're converting people like crazy.
This is within 12-month period.
Within a 12-month period.
Yeah.
And then on the YouTube, going from 0 to 3,500. I mean, I've got one video that doesn't even have that many views, but it's got almost 200 comments on there.
Yeah.
And so I was able to go from here to here, and it's not even that big of a deal. It's still like a little tiny peon in the grand scheme of things. But like that speed is what I protect. And I've learned that a lot of Fortune 500 companies like Amazon, right? They've got 1.5 million employees, but they still go so fast.
Yeah.
And like Alex Hormozi goes so fast. Like Jeff Bezos, he's not just kicking it in his office. They're moving so quick.
Yeah.
Same thing with Facebook and a couple others. And so that's why you guys work so well with me, because I can come in and say, hey, I need to film all this. And then boom, it gets turned around so quick.
Right.
So that I can then kick that to all the editors, finish everything else I have. Because otherwise this would slow me down. Like we do 4 YouTube videos at one time. Most of the times that would have taken me days to just record on my own.
That's true. And also too, I mean, we agree with you so much. Like I was on the phone or on a Zoom call for like 40 minutes impromptu with your editors because there was an issue on the back end. So to me, I'm like, this is worth it because the system, Jeremy's system is in jeopardy because of this technical issue. And so I was like, that needs to be resolved, right? So we want to support your systems. If you already have them, come to Blueform, plug them in with us. If 100%. You need them, we'll offer them. But yeah, it's been really awesome working with you so far in that, because you obviously have a system down. And that was my next question actually, was like, tell us about your following, but you just did. So 12-month period, 800 followers to over 6K on Instagram. And some people hear this and they go, 6,000, that's it. Because we're usually like the people you follow, millions of followers, right? Like go look at David Goggins or Willink or, Joe Rogan, right? With 44 million views in a couple hours with Trump's interview. Like crazy numbers. But if you're starting out in content, I would say, let me ask Jeremy, how important are views, or are there other metrics that are equally important?
I would say the number one metric, because I meet with realtors all the time. Like just in Orlando, there were 2 realtors in the room that had 110,000 followers on Instagram. Not a single deal from it.
Wow.
not converting a single deal. Yeah, in my local market, the St. George Realtor.Jeremy one, I've got 2,300 and did 11 deals just off that last year, learning it for the first time. And
for those of you that don't know, that's over 6 figures.
Yeah.
Right. In the real estate world, but depending on your commissions and everything. But yeah.
Right. And so
11
what I'm
deals.
learning is, wow, like the views don't matter, right? I don't know if these guys are buying them or they just, a lot of them have been doing it for 15 years. So over 15 years, right? They grew up to this big following. But for me, if you can hit your avatar in the heart and you can be a human about it, then they'll convert all day long.
Yeah.
And so all my processes, like you know them, all my processes are to hit someone in the heart when they come on my page. And if I can do that, then I've got all the value, the systems in place with the freemiums, the coaching group, the role play group, everything's in line. But I have to be the one that hits them. I don't use ManyChat or VAs or anything when they first come on my page because that has to be that human connection.
Yeah. Yeah, you can use AI automation to enhance your ability to hit someone in the fields. But if you put it all on that AI, like we see a lot of content creators do, they want something automated. They want something off their plate.
Right.
So their system is to build something up and then get it off their plate, but rather than enable the system to continue or their intention and energy to be put into that content. That's a really important point. So I just want to emphasize, guys, if you're creating content, like no one's doing more content creation in the St. George area than Jeremy Davis. And I'm not talking TikTok dances, right? Like that's not content creation. Content creation is spending all night in Canva and creating an online course, legitimately words to page, images, slides, slide decks, pamphlets, right? Everything you can think. This is the freemiums he's doing. So when we say content creation, all of these things that are lined up to help Jeremy's following, he doesn't need 1 million views to get a deal. He needs 100 and he could probably get a deal, right? And that's the same thing with our podcasting clients. I was telling you this the other day, where we have some clients, like they have maybe 80 listeners a month, but they're solving a unique problem in like e-commerce or some really specific niche that nobody's podcasting about. So I go and do a Google search. I'm like, how am I going to ship product from America to New Zealand and get the best, like avoid all the tax and all that? And then I find the Zonos podcast, shout out to them here in St. George. And they're pulling in big contracts, right? Because they put some intention and creation in there. And yeah, they're offering value. And so that's what all Jeremy's doing. You go into Canva. Like, let me ask you this. I think I know the answer. I think I just answered it for you. What is the most useful tool that you have found to create a freemium, a page, a video, anything like that? What's your
two things?
tools?
This thing right here,
Yeah.
your phone, and Canva.
Canva.
I literally go back and forth between Instagram and Canva. I don't use CapCut. I don't use anything else. It's Instagram and Canva.
Yeah. That's awesome.
it. That's really it.
That's awesome, man. Our third one, we agree with you. Like, I just made a really dope video for Blueform. It's like our most recent video of this studio, and I did it on a phone just to prove a point. Because, if it's complex or if I'm low on energy and then I have to do a complex task, even though it's like I do it often enough for it to be simple, but just me the other day, Mal can attest to this. She's like, oh, we put it on the schedule. We got to film this. We got to do it. And I'm like, you're right. I don't have any energy to go mount a camera to a gimbal and check the batteries and make sure everything's plugged in. I'm like, I forgot to do all that stuff, that little tedious, complex stuff to make sure I could film this afternoon. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to use my phone. And it's a Samsung, excellent camera quality. For those of you that don't know, like Samsung makes the displays for Apple. So if you're hating on Samsung, like check yourself, But yeah, the phone is such a great tool. And like you said, it's a distraction or it's a tool. So that's awesome. So you heard it here first, guys. Phone, you can do anything. Like, what's your process around your phone when you need to create a video?
Yeah, so I have a reel coming out like in an hour or two. I literally did the intro on my phone, and then I went into Canva, uploaded the thumbnails, created all those, downloaded them, went back into Instagram, uploaded those, synced them with the music, and it'll crush. It'll do really well.
So yeah, you've learned your phone And within that, there's a couple different softwares. Like if you're posting to Instagram, you should probably learn the Instagram editor, right? Those are
and it's
tools.
incredible, by the way.
It is.
The editor in Instagram
Yes.
is wild. It can do a lot of stuff.
If only the Meta software matched.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Instagram editor is excellent.
That's true.
But in fact, dude, let's do a video right now.
Let's do it.
Yeah, grab your phone out. You go first, and then I'll do one. I'll do one next.
What do you want to do one on?
Just to a story,
Cool.
Instagram story.
Yeah, it's super simple.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Jeremy Davis with Real D2D. Super excited. I'm on a live podcast right now with Blake. We are chiming about content creation, volume, systems, how to be consistent over time, and taking a ton of notes, and it's super fun to do this. So if you guys want to go give them a follow, you need help with your content creation, go follow Blueform Media. Blake and Mallory run it. They're incredible. If you need any help on the content side, I've got a mastermind group, courses, YouTube videos on this. Go follow me on all those platforms or DM. Follow my page. I give out a ton of free stuff. Just let me know how I can help. We'll catch you later.
Just like that, folks.
That's
Mine is
it.
not going to be as eloquent.
Let's see it.
But my brand, I feel, Mal can attest to this. I like to goof, right? Would you say so, Mal? I'm a goofball.
Goofing?
I'm just goofing. Yes. That's awesome. It just that simple. That was quick. That was just a story. But I'll do mine here. What's up, everybody? What's up? I'm here. I'm back. Look, I got Steve Brule right here. Where's my hand? There it is. Steve Brule. He's blessing me right now. He's blessing me all the time. I'm in the studio here with my boy. This is Jeremy Davis. We're talking content. We're talking how to make your systems around successful content because, guys, you don't need a huge audience to pull in some cheddar cheese. Okay? You just need the right audience. You need a good avatar and you need systems to speak to that person's soul. So that's what we're talking about. I'll post this episode later, but this is going up on Blueform. So, yeah, leave us a like and follow this guy. We'll tag him and all that stuff. Thanks.
And what's cool about that too is sometimes like I'll do a video like that and I won't even know when I'll use it, how I'll use it, if I'll ever use it. And then I just go ahead and record it anyways. And it just goes in a folder on my phone. And sometimes I'll go back and use it. Sometimes I don't. And I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I got to retake that. The lighting wasn't good. Or I've got to redo that because this sucked. And it's like, well, I've already done 15 of them by the time you make up your mind to make a perfect one. And I was at a conference a year ago when I was learning social media, and someone was saying that my imperfect post posted 20 times that had the right messaging is a million times better than your perfect post that had the perfect lighting, the perfect messaging that was never posted.
Right. And like that, those were both one takes, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just well over it. Like, I just don't care.
Don't care.
Right.
Yep.
You're not, this is the proof that you're not attached to an outcome. You're just using it as a tool. Like if I'm hammering with a nail, like I have a nail, I'm hammering it in with a hammer. Right. I'm not attached to like, if I get it in one shot.
Right.
Like if I miss and hit my thumb, I'll just cuss and be like, and I'll keep hitting that hammer till it's flat. But yeah, you're not going to swing a hammer one time and get bothered. Right.
Right.
It's a repeated process the more you do it.
Yeah. And again, people buy from people, right? Yeah. So if you're talking into a camera, it's the same as if you and I are talking right now. I don't get to communicate to you something and they'd be like, let me retake that and rewind and then say to you, like, you can't do that in real life. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah, you imagine like redoing a door. You're like, hold on. Let me delete that. Let me go back, knock your door. Can you shut your door and let me knock on it again?
Yeah. So when you conceptualize that paradigm and you operate out of that paradigm, then that's when your followers start to love you because you become more authentic.
Yes.
And you're more real and they can feel that. Mm-hmm. Even if I have to take like 4 or 5 takes because I don't get it in the 60 seconds, it's still like I'm looking at them in the eyes and they can feel that it's authentic.
Right.
Whereas like most coaching platforms, most like real estate consultants, like they just never connect with their audience. They're not on their stories. They upload Canva posts and they're talking about rates 24/7. There's no human connection.
Yeah.
But like simply literally turning this around and talking on camera 2 or 3 times a day, you'll convert more people just doing that.
100%. And the same thing with your YouTube videos, right? Take that complexity out of the equation. Simplify, right? If you don't have a logo, if you don't have a name for your podcast or your channel or whatever, like those things will evolve and grow all the time. So the more important thing is just getting the content out there. I think it's Sean Cannell who said, your first 100 videos on YouTube are going to suck.
And they do.
And they do.
Go back and watch
Right.
mine.
Yeah.
Go back and watch. Guys, go to my Instagram, Door to Door Real Estate. Go back and watch the first 50.
Yeah.
I was talking about stuff that no one cared about because I was told to say that. And I literally had a teleprompter. And granted, this helped me like grow, but I had a teleprompter. I would say a line, forget it, and say it again
Yeah.
and say it. So it wasn't coming from the heart. But now it's like, now look what's coming out. Like it's way different.
It was necessary repetitions, right? Like before you can, do a max set on bench,
Yeah.
like you got to start
Before I can do a video like that, uncut, that clean, guys, it took a lot of reps to get there.
Yeah. And it's okay. And just post it. Stop worrying
post
about it. Yeah.
It deletes 24 hours later on your
on
story.
a story. That's a great place
No one
to
cares.
practice. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, yeah.
No one cares. It deletes after 24 hours. Only maybe a 12th of your audience is going to see it. So
exactly.
who cares?
Well, outline clearly what kind of success have you had, right? You haven't got massive amount of following or views, but you have an audience that is turning into leads, turning into money in your pocket, right? So to quote Jeremy, grab a notepad. If you don't, that's like that.
I need a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're gonna
grab-
take some notes. We're gonna take a ton of notes.
Yeah.
So anyway, hit us with that. What success have you accomplished through social media in the last year?
Yeah. I actually had a guy at the seminar. I think it was LA. And I said that to start my part. And he laughed, and I looked over and I was like, "Did I say something funny?" He's like, "You say that on all your YouTube videos, and you said it live. That was awesome." But yeah, so when I first got into social media about a year ago, I knew that I needed more exposure and more reach. So I locked myself in my room for 72 hours. I literally went and bought 20 social media books. I'm a speed reader. I've been trained on that, so I went through a lot of the books. I bought 5 coaches, got into 3 masterminds, and just blitzed this skill to learn how to do this. And so now on the local page, my local real estate page, like I said, I converted 11 deals last year off that, just off of social media, doing reels, talking to Avatar, using ads in the appropriate areas. And then on my business account, I have to schedule 3 hours a day just to get back to people from reaching out on YouTube and on Instagram. So it's converting like crazy. And what's cool is when I first started, sometimes when you first start things, you have certain conversations with people and that literally ends up defining your business.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with my brother and he knows a ton about funnels. And he's like, you need some type of funnel. You need exposure as your first issue. Then you need a freemium to give value. And so that's where I got it from. And then you need a small ticket price item, then a medium one, then a reoccurring one, and then a program.
Nice.
And so when you take someone, you run them through this funnel. And so right now it's crushing. I've got 15 freemiums that I give out. I'm constantly chasing the exposure because when we get in front of people, we can convert them. And then I've got, hey, you can either get the freemiums, the right person.
Emphasis
Yes.
on the right person.
That's right.
Because you could have a video hit 100 million or like a million eyeballs.
Yep.
So a million sets of eyeballs rather.
Right.
But are they in a position to buy from you?
Right.
Probably not.
Right.
But if you got 1,000 views and they were all the person you want,
Yep.
that's huge.
Well, and again, like you only are going to be able to do that if you know your avatar. And your avatar isn't, as a real estate agent, it's not going to be price point or neighborhood. Yeah, that's so superficial, and you'll never hit it.
I was when you were filming your course. let's plug that course. What course do you sell about avatar creation?
It's a social media one on the
social
courses
media.
page on realdtt.com.
Because I'm seeing it for the first time, I'm just kind of scrolling as you're presenting right on camera, and I was expecting price point, age demographic, like whatever, and then you hit on emotion and value. Like what are the morals and values of your
And pain
person?
points and dreams and hopes.
What
and,
stage of life are they in? You know, and it was like all these like idealism, like what's their idealism? What how do they align? And I was like, dude, that is genius. Like that's how we'd profile people. I'm like, that's why did I never made that connection? So yeah, a really awesome course. I got it for free because I was just filming it. But yeah, I'd take it. I'd pay for it.
Yep. Yeah. And again, like with the content creation, we're converting so much at such a high volume because we know our real estate avatar to a T. We know where they are. We know what they're watching. We even started, if you go watch my Instagram page, we started creating like speech-like reels because our avatars are watching those, and I knew that. So we started creating them on our page, so the eyeballs start coming to our page. Because if they're watching over here, might as well watch on our page. And so we can peg them to a T.
So when you say speech like Reels, you mean like there's like an AI voice?
No, so we
something?
have like a lot of my followers love Cody Sanchez.
So
And
you
so
take a sound bite.
Take a podcast clip from her, we remix it, put some emotional music to it, and then we put that on our page. And the Instagram algorithm will now go find our ideal clients, pull them to our page, and then they get hooked.
Yep.
And then they get the freemiums and so forth.
That's a whole nother podcast.
There's a whole nother podcast.
Just the algorithm usage like that. Because once you do the things, we've just scratched some surface level techniques. Once you do these things, as a producer, as a media company, like what we have a hard time with is doing all of these things for our client. So there is, I equate it to this. We're like the lawn service that you hire a guy to cut your lawn, and we show up, we start the lawnmower, and then we're like, go ahead, cut your grass.
Yeah.
Like that's what we do as a media company is we cannot be Jeremy. I can't be you. I can't be I can't be your brand. I'm just behind the camera. We're behind the scenes. And so when we try to like fill these gaps, it doesn't work as well. We can't, no matter how well, I could even understand Jeremy's business to a T. I could sit in on every meeting. I could do everything, but I can't be him and I can't give the intention. It's like a universal thing. It's like magic. Call it religious, call it whatever. It's your human intention. If we're divine beings and we have a creator, we have the ability to create as well in this sphere. And you have to be the one creating and setting these intentions. Our hands are literally tied. I can't do it for you. And that's what Jeremy Davis is bringing to the table. All of this intention is set by you, and we're just amplifying your intention.
Yep.
That's another one of our
Yeah, it's like Dan Martell. His example is a lot of us are driving a Ferrari, but we have the brake on. You guys allowed me to take that brake off.
Yeah.
Now I can go so fast.
And we're going to go faster.
We're going to go way faster.
We're getting an overhead camera. We're doing another third angle. I mean, you got a video coming out next week where we're actually adding more depth of field and angles to the YouTube video. So it's a simple YouTube video. Nothing in your process has changed other than you have now a side angle.
Yep.
That just gets the jawline.
And that'll help the engagement. And that's just because I was watching Alex Hormozi and I was trying to figure out what is he doing in his videos that we're not doing. And then I was like, oh, he's got different angles. Let's try that. And then you guys were willing to try it. And then it's like, these videos are going to be really cool. But again, to your point, it's so true, right? Like when I come in to film, I've got the packets ready. I've got all the books ready. I've got the notes ready. I don't need you guys to do anything but film.
Exactly.
Edit it, enhance it, bring it back. And then I can kick it to the other guys to do the B-roll stuff. But if I didn't have all that, and I was like, guys, can you do all this? When I first got my media company that helped me grow that page, they were doing all the content research. And after a while, I was like, I know my avatar better than them. And once I knew that, that's when everything took off. Is once I understood the avatar and I knew how to speak to them and I knew what they wanted, I told them, I said, hey, stop sending me content ideas anymore. I know how to do this now. And that's when it took off.
So yeah, the data is one thing. We can, the same thing. And I feel for that media company. They're trying to do something, but like you have to set the intention as the creator, as the content creator. Like unless you want to be a talking head on the news, right? Where someone's writing your scripts for you and stuff. Like if you want to be an actor, like, and someone can write your scripts, that's different. But yeah, when you're trying to, like, you just do an excellent job. I dare say, a golf clap.
I appreciate it.
Dwayne and Jeremy do an excellent job of bringing that intention and the value to the specific person, and that's why it's working for you guys. If I was to chalk it up, I think that's the thing. That's the underlying thing under any tactic or technique or technology or tool that you're using. They're all part of the solution, but the underlying fact is you are intentional and you're setting that intention every day, right, about who you want to talk to. So it's almost like this. Tell me if you agree with this, but I used to teach my door knockers. Right? We'd be out knocking doors and I'd watch them a couple times. And I was like, they'd get a hard no or something, but they got their script out. And I was like, hey, so when you knocked on that door, what was your intention? And they're like, oh, to say the script. And I'm like, you did that. Good job. But like,
Did they sign?
Yeah, I'm like, what intention do you want to set for the next one?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, to get better at the script. And I'm like, how about a wild idea? How about you set your intention to like actually get a sale?
Yep.
And he's like, well, I'm just the appointment setter. I'm like, isn't that interesting how you can set an intention to get this sold, even though you're not the one going to be selling or closing it? You can set that intention on your way up to the door. I'm going to give this person an excellent product today and they're going to buy. I'm setting that intention. It's like Gladiator when he like gets the dirt in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
I could do that in the neighborhood, like, there's a sale here, you know?
Yep.
And that's what you're doing on a content level. And it gets me jazzed, man. Like when people are when you're intentional, we can amplify it and make it look good. So thank you for pushing us, dude, in our studio. We built this awesome workshop and sometimes we just need like a little push, a request is all we need. And we're like, we can totally do that.
And then
boom, it's happening. And I'm excited to see this latest YouTube video, dude, because that third camera angle,
That'd
I
be
think
cool.
it's money. And then the whiteboard. How are you liking the whiteboard presentation?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like that just makes it easier for me. Now I can do more without having to change my side of things.
Yeah.
And if I don't have to change my side of things, yeah, I can have someone that's willing to be like, hey, here's an idea. What are your thoughts? Oh yeah, let's do it. Right. And then it becomes this big thing. And that's what I've learned in business is you gotta have systems in place or people around you where you have an idea and you can turn it to execution because you're okay if you fail or if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
That's the group and the systems that you want. Like we had an idea, I don't know, 2 weeks ago where I was like, hey, we should go do a seminar in this one market for a certain reason that will be revealed at some point. And I was like, what if we got all the top dogs that work with me in real estate, like the Paige Stecklings and the Tessa Bellas and the Dwayne and me and a couple other people. And what if we just went and blitzed that market? And I called Dwayne and he was on board. I called the other person. They were on board. Called the other person. They were on board. And then I did a group text and they were all on board. We then got the dates, bought the plane tickets, and boom, within 2 hours, I had like 8 people, like top dogs in the real estate industry, all on the same page. We're going to 4 different markets in 4 days and here in 2 months. And it's just, can you surround yourself with the right people, the right systems that allow you to take an idea, execute it fairly quickly. That's the group. That's what you want to build in your business, and it'll go faster than you think.
Dude, that's great, man. Again, I'm drawing another military parallel. Have you ever heard this one? Speed, surprise, and violence of action.
No, I just recently heard your OODA.
The OODA loop.
The OODA loop. Blowing my mind. I got to write this one down. What is it?
Yeah, speed, surprise, and violence of action.
Okay.
So the action, if I hit speed and surprise, right? Like they can be in any order, really, right? To gain speed and surprise, I might have to violently patrol for 10 miles into enemy lines, right? Like there's a tons of philosophy on this, but yeah, you hit them with speed, you hit them with surprise, and then the actions you take are so violent. You're just taking the action is violent. Violence of action is pressing the envelope, keeping them on their heels. And you do that not against an individual or an enemy in the business world, but you do that against the market, against an opportunity, or against a competitor, right? And what you guys did in LA was pretty savage. I do tip the hat to that. It's awesome. But anyway, thank you, Jeremy Davis, for being on here, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You're a G, bro. We love working with you. Awesome experience, wealth of knowledge. If you can, let's plug them again. Where can we find you?
Yeah, Door-to-Door Real Estate, Instagram. I live on Instagram. YouTube, Jeremy Davis, Door-to-Door Real Estate, or just go to our website. Or shoot me a text, 702-525-5766. I don't have any of, like, there's no like secret number it goes to. I'm dumber than a box of rocks. I wouldn't even know how to figure that out. It goes right to my cell phone.
That's awesome.
Really quick, what's a quick one line or one piece of advice you'd give to your YouTube followers, your Instagram followers, anyone? What's like a one-liner?
I like that.
A one-liner. Yeah. A confused mind will always say no. Simplify your processes as much as you can.
Love it, dude. Well, cool, man. We're going to be doing a lot of cool things with Jeremy Davis, so stay tuned. And again, just remember, love, peace, and hair grease.
Boom.